Guys, it's Deneen, and I'm here in Photoshop Elements to go through how I use this digital paper, which is from the Ali Edwards December Daily Release from 2022, to remove certain frames and then use them individually. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that process here really quick with just one of the frames, but you can do this with any of these frames. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead here to my magic eraser tool, and I want to remove the background. So I'll just kind of click on the white part and the background will be gone. And now I have each of these individual frames with just the border around them. You get to select any frame you want. So I'm going to choose this one down here. And I will use the lasso tool to go around it and isolate it. So let's go around. And there we go. Just being careful. If you do happen to get other pieces in there, you could always use the eraser tool if you need to. And then once the little marching ants are around it, we're going to go up here to the layer menu, layer, new, and then I always do layer via copy. So I'm kind of not messing too much with this layer 0. I will go ahead and hide that layer 0. And now I just basically have this frame here. And again, you could resize this frame however you want. In my particular project, I went ahead and I think I did this to it. Something like this. Ooh, well, that doesn't look good. Let's see, how did I do that? Oh, I think I turned it on its side first. So image, rotate, 90 degrees to the left. And then I just kind of went ahead and just drug and made it a little bit bigger. You could do whatever size you want based upon the space that you have or what your intentions are for this item. Okay, so once I get that done, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to fill this layer to get rid of this gold, and I want it to be black. And you can make the outline any color that you want because, again, it's all up to you how you're going to do this. I'm choosing to make this black at the moment. So we're going to go to Edit, Fill Layer, with black being my foreground color, and hit OK. And then I've kind of made it so that the exterior is in black. Now, my intentions are also to use this as a mask. So I'm going to go ahead and do a layer, duplicate layer, and I'm going to make a copy of this layer because one of these layers is going to be the outline and the other one is going to be a mask. So let's go ahead and hide one of those. And then I will work with this copy of the layer. And I want to fill this in. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And I'm not looking for perfection. You can fill it however you want to. But you'll see here that as I'm filling it, it's not perfect. If you click it several times, that's 2 clicks, it will fill it a little bit better. But see how these little white spots here? I'm not worried. You absolutely can go in and completely fill those in if you want to. I'm choosing not to, but that's completely up to you. All right, so there is just a black version of that particular frame. Okay, so now here's the part where I'm going to go ahead and mask a patterned paper inside of this frame. And I just picked a random one, and I happen to have the December Scrapbook by the Month kit open. So I chose that frame with all these little holly berries on it. And I'm just going to drag that frame into this particular canvas. So you can see here it has landed underneath the frame. I want it to be on top of the frame. So I'm going to go over here to the layers palette and I'm going to drag that above that particular layer. And now you can't see it anymore. But if you are to hover between these two layers and hold down, I think it's the control key if you're using an HP computer. For me, it is the options key on a Mac. I'm going to hold down options and you'll see how that little finger turns into a box and an arrow. And I'm going to click. And there you have the holly inside of that frame. Now, if you want to, let's see here, you can manipulate this background layer. You see if let's get this here to move around. Okay, see how I move it around? You can do that. to put the berries wherever you want to put them. You could also shrink that down if you want the berries to be smaller, so that will kind of give you smaller berries. And you can just, again, play with it however you want. Kind of like it with the smaller ones. I'm not using this, I'm just showing you, so I'm just going through the motions here. Zooming back in here, if you go ahead and you unhide this layer 1, you can drag it on top of the paper, and now you have the frame with the black outline and the paper masked underneath. Okay, so in the project that I'm showing you here today, what I ended up doing, because I just got a mink this year and I've been playing around a lot, was I ended up hiding the outline and just printing the frames. I chose 4 different frames, just printing the frames on my printer like this. So they came out in just the shape of the frame with the paper inside. And then after I was done with that, I hid the paper and the frame, and I only pulled up the outline. And then this outline here, I printed on my laser printer and then ran it through my Mink. I ended up printing it out on the transparency for laser printers and then running that through my Mink and making the black part here gold. And you'll see in the rest of the video here that the frames are all outlined in gold as opposed to black. One other thing to mention here, I do not have a foil quill or a quill pen or anything like that for my cameo, my silhouette cameo, but from what I understand, there is a way, and you guys would probably know better than me, there is a way for you to go ahead and print this out, let's see, like this, and then just foil quill on only these parts. I'm not there yet. I'm just playing around with the Mink this year, so I'm kind of like a newbie here. That part I can't really give you information on, but I know that Jenny Ray had done an awesome video in the December Daily Prep Day this year, and I'm absolutely sure that she probably went through and gave you all the instructions necessary to do something like that. So maybe next year I'll dive into that, but one step at a time, right? Too many toys and my brain will probably explode, so I just kind of chose to do it this way, and I like how it turned out. So again, you do you, but I wanted to just show you my process if you're interested in doing something like that. And let's continue on to the rest of my lesson. So I did a little bit of a drawing here just to show you guys the stitching and scoring that I did on this particular page just ahead of time so that you can see a little bit clearer than just what I have on my desk. This is a single piece of patterned paper. It is sized 11 by 8 1/4. That's the standard size that comes in the Allie Edwards December Daily package. So you'll see that at the top, the middle at 5.5 inches was first scored and then stitched. So I stitched right down that score line with my sewing machine. I used red thread. And then I also used my sewing machine to score 1/4 inch from the top edge, 1/4 inch from the bottom edge, and then right down the middle at 4.125 inches. So this is how it kind of ends up looking once I have all of this done on my sewing machine. So I wanted to kind of show you that, and then I'll show you the other part. So same concept here. You will see, though, that I put a little drawing in the sketch of the white cardstock that is actually directly behind the patterned paper. And I just kind of offset it there so you know that there are 2 pieces of paper for this step, and they are laid directly on top of each other. They are also scored at 5.5 inches and then stitched at the 5.5 inches. And then the same thing for the sides, 0.25 from the top, 0.25 from the bottom, and then right down the middle. And that white cardstock is there so that it will create a pocket. And you'll see when I am showing you how I put it together that I need to have 4 pockets. And that white piece of cardstock sewn to the bottom is going to allow me to have the bottom two pockets. Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of show you that in my little sketches here, but now I'm going to kind of bring you into the process part of it, and if you have any questions, you certainly can reach out to me. I try to be as clear as I can, but sometimes I understand, and it seems like everyone else should, but then they don't. So always, always, I am open to questions. Alrighty, let's move on to the next part. So here I am at my desk with my physical papers, and you'll see it's the same papers that I had in the little sketches that I just showed you. These are, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, from the add-on 10 by 8 paper pack. And that's the star one, and this is the stripe one. And then last but not least, I have that one piece of cardstock. It's pretty thin. I didn't want to get too bulky. So these two pieces are going to get put and scored together. Now you'll see I pull out my adhesive, and I put some temporary adhesive on, and then I realized that that's not the good idea. So I get rid of that. And then I put it on my score table here, and I'm going to line it up, and I'm going to score it at the halfway point. So I'm doing both of these at the same time because they're going to be sewn together. And then I'll just kind of fiddle here to make sure that when they are folded, that they stay straight. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I fold things, even after I have scored them, they just don't quite fold the right way, and especially when I'm trying to fold two of them at the same time. So let's stitch some lines on there like I just showed you, and you'll see here, this is exactly where we're at. 3 across, 1 down the middle on the score. So here's the diagonal paper, going to also score that at the halfway point, 5.5 inches. This one's a little easier to fold because it's just one. So I do my best to line that up and go ahead, fold it, score it, run it through the machine, and same thing. There you see. It's kind of like, looks like a present, I guess you could say, but I do have the stitching along the 1/4 inch mark on the top and the bottom. So lots of thread hanging off here, and I don't mind a little bit of thread hanging off, but it was looking a little messy. So you're just going to see here that I'm kind of just, cutting off, leaving a little bit, not really sure if I want to cut it directly right to the edge. That one came apart there a little bit, so I just tied a little knot in there. So now I'm going to slow this down just a little bit so you can see how I'm constructing this. Here are my two pieces. This is going to be the one that's closest to the rings, and then the one with the stars is going to be the one that is closer to the right side or the edge of the album. So I'll show you here how on this piece that has the white cardstock, how the pockets were created from the sewing. So you can see there, if you look inside, it's a little pocket. There's one on the top and one on the bottom. So that's how the white cardstock came into play. So I'm going to lay these next to each other, and I'm going to just kind of pull them together so that the midpoints are touching each other. And I am going to adhere these two pages together. Okay, so this is going to create a, let's see, I don't know what to call it. I guess it's a flip open, I guess you can call it. I don't know. They are pockets, and then this is going to flip over like this. And so we're going to have tags sticking out of each of these 4 pockets right here. So let's get our adhesive out, and I'm going to just kind of outline that with my adhesive so that these two pieces can be permanently adhered together. And I usually start out by just putting a small piece of adhesive on, just in case I have to do some moving. As I'm lining things up, oftentimes I will put them together and then change my mind and then pull them apart. So I try not to be heavy-handed with my adhesive at first so that I can make changes as I need to. And you'll see as I'm doing this that I'm kind of moving it around, making sure the edges line up, making sure that when it opens one way it looks nice, and when it opens the other way it looks nice. So this is going to be something that you may spend a little bit of extra time on. I'm putting my holes on the left side there. So let's get out my hole punch and get those holes punched in there. I know this is going to be the page for my story 3, and I know that that is going to be on the right side of the album when it's opened up. So I know where to punch the holes. If you're doing this as a foundation page and you're not really sure, you're going to want to think about that before you start to construct it, making sure that you know what side the holes are going to be on in case you have to modify my instructions here just a little bit. So once I get done punching my holes, I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and just start to, cut off some of those extra threads that I absolutely do not need because they are hanging off. There's so many of them and I absolutely don't need those. So going to cut those off, and then I am going to show you just really quick here now how I'm going to just add the additional adhesive to keep this nice and sturdy. And once I get all the little threads off, I will then go ahead and permanently adhere the remainder of the sides of those two pieces that kind of form that part sticking up in the middle. I don't know if it's a pocket. It's sort of a pocket and it's sort of a flip. It's a flippy pocket, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I had adhered the one side. So now I'm just going to go ahead and adhere the other three sides so that it is all attached together and sturdy. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my circle punch. I'm going to make half circles here so that the cards, tags that I'm putting inside are going to stick out a little bit. So I'm marking the middle on all of them. And then I'll grab my circle punch. Honestly, right off the top of my head, I do not know what size punch I used. I want to say it's like 1 3/4 maybe. Not 100% sure. To be honest, I just kind of grabbed one of my punches and started punching. So if you have any questions about that, I certainly can answer that if you're interested. But once I do that, I then use those first two half circles to draw the two other half circles. And that kind of will definitely keep them in line with each other, as you can see right there. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. And on the inside, and I guess you can call it the inside, I'm going to use these. These are 3x4 journal cards. And I want to say that these might be from 2021. Not 100% sure. They were an item that I really never thought I would use because I don't do a lot of pocket scrapbooking in my December daily, but I'm glad I saved them because they turned out to be wonderful embellishments here. And each one of these is going to serve as a home for the initial of the individuals that I am addressing. So for this particular pocket spread, I chose to tell family stories or to write a letter to my dad, my boyfriend, my son, and then my mom who passed away. It'll be 5 years in January. And so I was just so intrigued by everybody discussing during prep day, writing a letter to someone who has passed. And I do add my mom into my December daily every year. And I just thought that this was such a nice way to add her in, adding the 4 people who I would say have been the closest to me in my life. Then I went ahead and got out these absolutely wonderful red puffy letter stickers. And I decided I was going to do mom and dad instead of their names because my mom's name was Rose and there's only one R, and my son's name is Ryan. So I thought I could solve that problem. D for dad, M for mom, R for Ryan, and then L for Lee. So that's how I decided I was going to handle that situation, since I only have one set of these stickers and the stickers only have one of the letters each. So that's how that's going to be. I'll probably embellish that more later, but we'll just kind of go on to, I guess, what you want to call the front. And these are the cards that I created. I showed you in the beginning how I worked to put them together in Photoshop. You'll see I printed out letters to family from Allie's Word Art. And each one of those frames is going to go in one of those quadrants. Again, I showed you earlier how I put these together with Photoshop elements. And so I'm going to fill these 3 other frames with embellishments of some sort. Haven't gotten that far yet, but I will, one step at a time. So let's get those adhered on there. And then you'll be able to see how it flips. Again, you see the holes. That's how it's going to be in the album. And then this here is going to open. There's my pockets for my tags. And then you'll be able to see the end result. So here is what it ended up looking like. And unfortunately, I came home from school, sat down at my desk, and just started embellishing. And after I had done everything, I realized I never recorded that part. And then I thought to myself, well, most people know how to do a lot of these things. But again, if at any point in time you have a question about this particular part as well, because it is not recorded, I did not record how I embellished everything, but I can kind of give you a little bit of a description. So, top left corner, letters to family, I printed that out on white cardstock, cut it, and placed it in the frame. I did some stamping there. It says, "So thankful." And I believe it's the Lumberjack Plaid Distress Oxide ink, and then a little red chipboard star. And then the upper right quadrant is a digital word art that says Merry and Bright, and that was printed on the laser printer, and then it was foiled with red foil. And then the 3 is the story number. Lower left quadrant, another piece of word art that also has red foil. And then on top of that is one awesome embellishment from a few years ago. It's a heavy, I guess, enamel heart, and I've been waiting to use that. So I was so thrilled to be able to add a little bit of splash of red there with that one. And then on the right side, Love These People is done with green foil, and there's a tiny chipboard star in the O. So that's basically what I did to embellish the front here. And then when I go ahead and I flip over this flap, you will see I did just a little bit additional embellishing with the inside and those puffy red letter stickers that you see. So let's go ahead and flip that open so that we can take a look at that. There we go. That flips over like that. And you'll see I ended up moving up the puffy letters a little bit so I could put a stamp underneath that says "So Much Love," and also added a little gold chipboard just to bring the gold into this particular part of the spread. And there's the back. And I wanted to say that right now it's kind of floppy, but it won't be because there will be the next story on the back side of this. So that's not something that you're going to have to worry about. Let's go ahead and take a look at my tags. I did basically what Allie did. You can take a look at the prep day video of hers to see how that was done. But there's my journaling. I see you. And again, same thing that she did. Kind of just made sentences. I see you this and I see you that. And there are 4 of them, like I had mentioned, each one sticking out of one of those pockets. And I also did the same thing on the other side with the confetti and the pocket protector sewn on the outside. I did my ribbon a little bit differently, but same concept. And I'm just so super happy with how this turned out. And I'm so super happy with prep day and everything that we did. And I'm looking forward to actually creating something else from that day very, very soon. So thank you so much for playing along with me. And if you have any questions, I know I say that constantly, but I think it's the teacher in me. I'm always asking if there's questions. But yes, I'm here. You could reach out anytime. Thanks for playing along, and we'll see you in the next video.